Let me tell y'all about a time where I found a lump in my breast. Girl, I could have passed out. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. So I was literally laying right here on this bed. I was right here on this bed, just laying down. And me and my husband were just chilling, watching a movie. I don't know if y'all live with men or have an experience with men, but they just be touching on you at all times. They just want to grab on you. They want to feel on you. And he was grabbing my breast. He was like, huh, do you feel that? I was like, feel what? I was like, there's like something in there. I'm like, what do you mean? So I grabbed it myself. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. There's like a lump there. It was about the size of like one of these pills. One pill. So it wasn't like huge, but it was definitely something in there. So I'm confused. I'm like, oh God, what is that? So I Google. Of course, Google is not any help. So when I go for my yearly checkup, I tell her like, hey, I have a lump in my breast. Like, can you look at it? So she feels it. She's like, oh, okay. I mean, it's pretty substantial, but it's not anything that I would be too worried about. Go to get a ultrasound and we'll take it from there. So girl, they scheduled me for an ultrasound at a breast cancer clinic. Oh God. So I walk in there like, excuse me, what is happening? So they do the ultrasound, they put the little jelly on there, they rub it around, they're like, huh, it's like an abnormal shape. It's abnormal. So I think you should go get a mammogram. I'm like, okay, what is happening? So I go to this clinic, like it's like 30 minutes away, and they do the little test on me, and they do an ultrasound, and they do all the stuff, and they're like, well, it is a little abnormal in shape. Typically, if it's like a certain shape, it's nothing to worry about. It's just like whatever the term is, but this one was abnormal. So like, we think you should go get a biopsy. So I go schedule an appointment for a biopsy at the freaking breast cancer center. I have to, y'all, it was a procedure. Like they literally had to numb me up and like stick something in my breast to get a fragment of the thing out to like send it off to a lab and test it. And I had to like wear like a bandage because I had a procedure. And I was like, oh God. So they send it off, they get it tested, and it comes back like benign. It's just a little mass. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm like, okay, cool. They send me to go talk to a surgeon and have a consultation, and the surgeon's like, well, you can have it removed if you want to, but you don't have to. It's not like it's life altering. It's not like it's hurting you. It's not painful. It's not super big. So if you want to get it removed, you can, but you definitely don't have to. I was like, well, what will happen if I don't get it removed? She was like, well, it could grow. It could grow. I've seen these get to the size of a tennis ball. You could have some effects, like it could disrupt some like nerves or milk ducts in your breast whenever you have a child and breastfeed. So I'm like, okay, I don't want it removed. Honestly, I've never had surgery. I am not a fan of surgery. I don't want to go to a hospital. I've never been to a hospital. So I'm like, I'm good. It's fine. I'll be all right. So I leave. And everything's fine. And then a couple months later, I feel it, and it's like a little bit bigger. I'm like, okay. A couple months later, it's like bigger than that. So I'm like, okay, this thing is getting big. Let me go back to the doctor. So for my next yearly checkup, I go back to the doctor, and I'm like, hey, I have this lump in my breast, and it's getting bigger.
All right, arm up over the head. And do this breast. I'm just looking for any skin changes. Normal and healthy. And often in women who have had biopsies done before, and I'm assuming that's the right word it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is pretty. I was just about to say, I often like don't tell folks like, oh yeah, we need to do like repeat ones if they've done a biopsy and it looks normal. That is a pretty.
It's getting bigger, like
sizable lump.
Every few months it gets like bigger.
That I
and
think
bigger.
it's a good idea to just repeat screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are those things called again? It's called some kind of like the lump part.
Oh, I'm assuming it's probably a fibrocystic.
Yeah, that's what they. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Which is like so. Fibrous connective tissue, cystic meaning tissue that kind of like helps form different secretions in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Super common
Yeah.
in young women. Often they'll change with change in size with where you are in your menstrual cycle. Some women will say they become like larger and more painful when they're getting close to their periods. Pregnancy is a big thing where people can see changes. But I think doing a repeat ultrasound just to have them look at it. Where had you been getting your ultrasounds done previously?
So I go back to the breast cancer center. I go back to the breast cancer center and they do another ultrasound on it and they're like, yeah, it's definitely doubled in size. So let's do another biopsy. So they do another biopsy. They go test it and it comes back clean and they're like, okay, well, it's still nothing. It's still not cancerous. It's still just a mass. So you can go talk to the surgeon again. Talk to the surgeon again. I'm like, yeah, I don't, it's not hurting me. I'm not in pain. It's just a big old lump in my breast. And it makes me feel weird, but I don't have any pain. She's like, well, you can get it taken out if you want to, but you definitely don't have to. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting it taken out. So then another year passes. I go to my next appointment and it's literally tripled in size. At this point, it's like maybe this big. And I'm like, y'all, okay, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready because this thing is getting really big. And again, it's not cancerous. It's not painful. It doesn't hurt, but it's like a big rock in my boob. And I'm feeling it all the time. I'm just like walking in the grocery store, feeling my breast. Before I go to sleep, I'm feeling it. Like this thing is getting so big. They scheduled the surgery for Thursday. I've never had surgery, so I was so scared. They're like, don't eat anything. You gotta take a COVID test. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. But this is how big this thing is, y'all. I'll show you. You see me squeezing something? That's my boob. It's literally that big. It's just thick. And they said it'll only be a 45-minute procedure. So I'm gonna go. But they said I'm gonna be at the clinic for like 3 hours. So I don't know what I'm gonna do before the first hour and the second hour, but I just know I'm hungry right now. So hopefully I can eat afterwards because I'm literally so hungry.
What do you think you want to eat? You had a taste for after your surgery?
Five Guys.
You probably can't eat heavy, huh?
I don't know. I Googled it, they said you should eat protein.
Huh?
For blood, if you lose blood.
Prayer with Lord God, go under anesthesia and be fine. Lord God, bind the spirit of fear that might overwhelm the Lord God and ask you to give us a spirit of peace right now. In the name of Jesus, Lord God. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank y'all. I appreciate that. And I get to the place where I have the surgery. My husband is there with me. And I'm thinking he's gonna like be with me till I go back. But they make him go back to the car because of COVID protocol. They drop me off and I go to the back and I'm literally sweating. I'm sweating because I'm so scared. I've never been put under anesthesia before. What if I have a negative reaction? What if I'm up during the surgery? What if something goes wrong? You know, I was just terrified. And the anesthesiologist comforted me. She said that when you're under, we'll know if you're awake because we monitor your heart rate. And if your heart rate spikes, then we'll know that you can feel something and that something is wrong. But if you have a steady heart rate, then everything is gonna be fine. And we are there with you the whole time. We do this all the time, so don't be worried. I'm like, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I'm still scared. They put the IV in, they rolled me to the back, and they're like, you're gonna be asleep in a minute. I'm like, no, I'm not. You tripping. And next thing I know, I wake up and the surgery's over.
My girl is out of recovery.
I kind of like surgery.
Ain't no way.
And I'm in the bed and I have stitches on my boobs. And Pat is there, my husband is there. He's like, are you okay? I feel this.
Campus?
And so that was it. I mean, it wasn't too bad. I definitely felt a little bit groggy, but not super groggy. The stitches were in for about maybe a week or two, but they dissolved on their own. I couldn't take a bath. I couldn't lift anything heavy, so the recovery was not bad at all. And I feel like I've recovered well. My cut is like right around my nipple, and it's a little bit bigger probably because I waited so long. Had I done it when my little mass was small, I probably would have had a small cut, but because I waited till it got big, I had a substantial, maybe like 1/3 of my nipple. She cut around my nipple. 1/3 of it is like scarred, but I think it's gonna heal well, so I'm not worried about that. I was talking to some of my friends about it, and apparently this happens all the time, especially in Black women. one of my friends said that she had lumps in both of her breasts and she got all of them removed. And so apparently it's a really common thing, but I had no idea that it was common. I actually went to a party the night of my surgery. I didn't dance. I was just there. I didn't dance, but I was definitely fresh out of surgery. I in retrospect, I wish that I would have gotten it taken out earlier just so my scar wouldn't be as big. But I wouldn't have known that it would have tripled in size over 3 years. If it would have stayed the same size, I probably would never have gotten surgery. Because it was $900. I had to pay upfront. Like as soon as I got to the doctor, like before you go to the back, before we even open you up, give us $900. It might have been close to $1,000. The things we do, healthcare, y'all, the healthcare system is a mess. But the whole process was definitely scary because they send you to like the breast cancer center to get all these ultrasounds and these procedures and these biopsies done. And you're like, why am I at the breast cancer center? What does this mean? But they assured me the whole time that everything was going to be okay. But I can imagine a scenario where it's not okay. And maybe it is like a breast cancer type situation, and how scary it can be just to be in those hospital rooms alone, especially during COVID times. You know, you're just by yourself and you're just praying that everything's going to be okay. So to anybody who has a lump in their breast and you've gotten it tested and they say that it's benign, it's just a mass or fibroadenoma, you'll be fine. I was fine. So I'm giving you words of comfort. And hopefully, I feel like if it doubles in size after the first year, go ahead and take it out because it's probably going to keep. Well, let me not say that. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. It's normal. Women have these things all of the time and you'll be okay. So don't be worried. If you have any questions, let me know.
Is there anywhere I can look in the chart to see if
It looks so sleepy.
She told me eat toast and soup. I want some burgers. Good though. When I tell you, I don't remember exactly what.